Good afternoon, dear students. My name is Dr. Shuaib Mohammad Bhat. I'm working as assistant professor in the Department of English at the Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today, we shall be talking about public speaking. Let's go with public speaking. When I speak public speaking, so the first thing which is already understood to you all, that is speaking. We had some lectures on speaking that I talked about speaking skill. What are the different parameters which we require in order to be good speakers? And I also talked about speaking as a language skill. I also talked about how can we attain this speaking skill, this language skill. In order to learn a language, as I told you earlier, we require 4 skills. Speaking, the first one is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So speaking, it's having a very prominent place when it comes to language acquisition. When it comes to learn a language, we equally depend on these 4 skills. And speaking is one among those 4 skills. Speaking, as you know now, it's we communicate with the help of speaking. We share our ideas with the help of speaking. We transform our ideology with the help of speaking. We show our emotions, feelings with the help of speaking. No doubt there are other modes of transmission, of sharing, like sometimes we show our emotions with non-verbal communication, with body language, and there are also letters, there is also a written communication. But right now we are talking about speaking. That's why I'm laying stress on speaking skill only. Now, when we talk about speaking, there are different forms of speaking. Like somebody is giving a lecture in a classroom, that's one form of speaking. Another form of speaking is when you are speaking with your friends or to your friends. That's another form, another environment of speaking. But one more form is which we call as public speaking. What is public speaking? It contains its answer, its definition in the term itself. Because when we speak public speaking, it means to speak in a public. Yes, this is actually what public speaking is. Let's go with the definition. So public speaking, it is the process, an act of speaking or giving lecture to a group of people in a structured, deliberate manner intended to inform, influence, entertain a listening audience, or so on and so forth. Your purpose may be something else. It may be to inquire. It may be to educate people. It may be to instruct people. It's not only it is to inform, influence, or entertain. Now, what public speaking is? It is the process or act of speaking. It is a process of speaking where a person speaks to the general public, to a large group of people. And this speaking, it is structured. It's in a well manner. It's a deliberate manner. So this is not like when we talk about public speaking, it may be any speech which is unstructured, which is a random speech, where there is no sequence, where there is no order. No, that's not the case with public speaking. Because when we talk about public, everything which is public, that is open to interpretations. That's open to public feedback. So that doesn't mean public speaking is random. It's like a speaker may come and speak anything on any time. That's not the case with public speaking. Rather, public speaking, it is a structured speaking. It's a structured talk. It's a deliberate talk. It is a talk which is in a structure, which is in a well manner, which follows a pattern, a proper channel, a proper sequence, a proper order. And what is the purpose of this public speaking? It may be different. Purposes vary. So I have given some examples. This public speaking is mainly intended to inform people. It sometimes is intended to influence people. Or sometimes we choose public speaking in order to entertain people, entertain the audience who are listening us. And public speaking is communicating a message effectively to a group of audience. It is to communicate effectively to a group of audience. When it comes to speaking, when it comes to communicating, when it comes to interaction, when it comes to sharing, that's always effective and that always should be effective. Because the purpose of speaking is to understand audience and to be understood by the audience, to understand the listeners and to be understood by the listeners. So when you're speaking or when your dialogue, when your talking is catering, when your dialogue is helping you to attain these two goals, one is to be understood, other is to understand your audience, your listeners, that means the process of communication or the process of speaking is happening there. So that's why I'm telling you, public speaking, it is communicating a message effectively to a group of people. As I told you, whatever is public, that is open to interpretations. When you are speaking to the public, so you are open to interpretations. When you are speaking to a group of people, so that means you are at the same time targeting different mindsets. So it is a huge viewership. It's a big crowd of people who are listening to you. So when there are a lot of people, obviously perceptions may vary. The quality of understanding, assimilating your talk, it varies from one person to another person. So whenever you are speaking, whenever we talk about public speaking, it should be effective speaking. Then, now there are things like articulation, correct pronunciation, dialect, accent, and pleasant voice. It facilitates the interest in the audience. So you can make your audience spellbound by articulation of your voice, by following the intonation, by using accurately the rising tone, falling, rising, falling tones. So you can make your audience spellbound by your good use of pronunciation, your pleasant voice, your dialect, that can make your audience spellbound. And that is the purpose of every speaker. That is the goal of every speaker, to make his or her audience spellbound, so that they can listen him at ease and at comfort. And when your audience, they are listening you without any disturbance, without any interruption, so you are successful in your speaking. You are successful in conveying your idea to that audience. Then let's move to the 3 basics of public speaking. Now, I told you about public speaking. It's important, and I gave you the definition what public speaking is. Now, let's go with the 3 basics of effective public speaking. There are 3 basics which every public speaker must keep in his or her mind in order to deliver a speech or before going to deliver a speech in the public. What are these 3 basics? These 3 basic points. Number 1 is authority. We have number 1, authority. Number 2 is authenticity. And 3rd is audience. So one has to master these 3 basics in order to be an effective public speaker. Now let's go with them one by one. Number 1 is authority. What is authority? It's about some leadership. See, public speaking, it's an act of leadership. When you are a public speaker, when you are delivering a speech in the public, you are leader of that public. And if you lack authority, if you lack that leadership on the stage when you are speaking, your audience will assume you lack authority off stage too. So when you are not speaking according to the criteria of speaking, when you are not having that leadership in your speaking, your audience will assume you are a normal speaker. They will assume you that your speaking is a normal speaking, it's a normal talk. So when they assume you like this, you are off stage as a normal person, you're not an active speaker. So there are chances that your listeners, your audience, they may not listen you carefully. And when they are not listening you carefully, interruptions will occur. Interruptions will arise. And we all know this. When there is an interruption during the speaking, during the process of communication, a speaker cannot communicate well. A speaker cannot deliver his or her punch well because there is an interruption. And this interruption, when it is caused by the personality of the speaker, that is a danger, that is a threat to the art of speaking. So one should know an act of leadership when one is speaking, especially in public. Then the audience is listening to you, so be in charge. When audience is listening to you, you have to be in charge of the audience. You have to take the responsibility of the audience. So now the audience is all yours for that proportion of time which you have been given to speak there. So that whole audience is yours. It is in your hands how to make them good listeners. It is in your hands how to make them realize that whatever you are speaking, that's worthy to listen. That's in your hands because you are in charge of that audience. So this is authority. One should have that authority. Then one should be credible and feel comfortable and own the room. Now, authority doesn't mean one has to come on the stage with a lot of responsibilities. And these responsibilities, they're not letting you to speak. They're not letting you to vomit the information which you want to share with the public. No, one should feel comfortable. And one should be credible. There should be the credibility in the speaker. And the speaker should feel very comfortable while talking to the people. And a speaker should give some space to himself or herself. Because when we are comfortable, that means we can gain confidence. And when we are confident, we can deliver the speech without any interruption, without any hesitation, without any shyness, without any fear. Then, know more about the subject than you have put in your speech. Be at ease with the subject matter. And one should know more about the subject. One should know more because it's public speaking. And when it is public speaking, you have a lot of people who are listening to you. There may be your listeners who are having much knowledge on the subject which you are discussing. So a public speaker must research the topic of speaking, the topic which he is about to speak. When we research the topic, we get more information. And when we are having more information for speaking, we feel comfortable when we convey our ideas or information to the public. Because we are aware, we are confident that we have a lot of knowledge with us. So one should not just play with the subject matter. Rather, one should take subject matter seriously. Serious in the sense one should research the subject. One should research the topic which one is speaking. And when we research, as I told you, we are having a treasure of knowledge on that subject. And that treasure of knowledge, that bulk of knowledge, that vast knowledge, it gives us confidence. It boosts our morale and confidence, and we speak without any hesitation. Then, and you are an expert on the topic and your opinion matters. So when you are speaking to the public, when you are a public speaker, and the topic which you have been given to you to share your ideas on, so you are an expert on that topic. And you have your every opinion matters there. Now, what you have to do, one has to be objective in representation. It should not be like we are giving our own opinions according to my perception, according to my ideology. We can give our opinions, but these opinions, they should support the facts and evidences which we are sharing with the people, which we are using in order to construct our dialogue, our speech. So what my point of view here is, the first basic thing for effective speaking is authority. A speaker must be an authoritarian in nature. It's not like the speaker has to be very rude with the audience. The speaker has to go with the feel that I'm the boss and these people are inferior to me. It's not that case. It is the authority in handling the audience. It is that authority which helps the speaker to speak his views, to speak out his opinions with confidence, with 100% assurance, so that your audience, your listeners can understand you well, so that you are not leaving your audience with the confusion, so that you are not giving some ambiguous responses to your audience or audiences. So authority is the basic thing. Then the second point is authenticity. One has to be very authentic. So one has to be the best version of oneself. If you are a public speaker or if you are public speakers, you have to be the best version of yourself. It should not be like you borrowed even knowledge from somewhere. It's like you are rotting down the points and you are vomiting there. You don't know the art of public speaking. You don't know the different strategies which you require for public speaking. So that cannot make you a good public speaker. Rather, you have to be the best version, an authentic source, an authentic model, an authentic speaker to whom audience will rely, from whom audience will borrow the knowledge, to whom audience will give their ears to listen to you carefully. So one should not be a second-rate copy of someone else. It's not good to copy someone. It's not good to be a second-hand copy of someone else. It's good to just be your own self. Be the best version of your own self. And tell people, yes, you are an authentic speaker. With the help of your own style, own style of talking, with the help of your own knowledge. Then, audiences like to feel that they have been let in to see the real you and get rid of the idea to be a good speaker. You have to deploy tricks. Good speakers are above all themselves. Now, audience, they like to feel that they have been let in to see the real you. Audience want to see real you. You should not be, as I told you, the copy of some other person. Rather, best version of yourself. And you should be get rid of the idea that good speakers, they use tricks. No, that's not the best way of educating your audience. That's not the best way of communicating with your audience. Be yourself, be original, be your real self. Come with the facts, come with the evidences, current day illustrations, with examples. Then only you can be authentic. One cannot be authentic with one's own created stories. If you are public speakers, your own fabricated stories may not make you a good public speaker. Rather, your factual speech who contain evidences, who contain witness, which contain evidence, which contain facts. can count you or can make you good public speaker. And what do people like about you? What are the qualities that attract people to you? And play to your strengths rather than worrying about your weaknesses. One should know what is that thing which audience likes in me, and which quality of mine is attracting my audience. And we should use those qualities. We should showcase those qualities. Because what is the purpose of a public speaker? The purpose of every public speaker is to make his or her audience spellbound. So that we can, or a public speaker can convey his message clearly. So that's why I'm telling you, a public speaker should know his qualities, should know what is that thing which his or her audience like most, or audiences like most, or audience likes most. So one should know these things, and one should showcase these things, and one should play. A public speaker should not bother about his or her weaknesses, because at the end of the day we all are humans and no one among is perfect. We all are with some loopholes. So everybody is having one or other, means some mistakes are happening with by every one of us. So that doesn't mean we are not good people. And as I told you, everybody is not perfect. So there may be some weaknesses in a public speaker. And a public speaker should not bother about those weaknesses, should not remind himself about those weaknesses, should not think about those weaknesses. Rather, a public speaker should play with his strengths, with his strong points. He should use his strong points. He should get help from his strong points, get support from his strong points in order to convey his message to the audience. By doing all these things, like as I told you, one should be the best version. By being the best version of yourself, by being real you, by not relying on the tricks, and by considering your strong point, your good qualities, you can bring that authenticity in yourself and in your speech. And this authenticity, it leaves no chance to the audience for not listening to you. It provokes them, it helps them, it invites them to listen to you. Then we have the last one, that's audience. The audience is the most important part of any speech or presentation. Every speech is incomplete without audience. As a speaker is important to the audience, in the same way, audience is much important to every speech. You cannot be a good speaker when you do not have good audience. So it is audience which makes people good speakers, motivational speakers. Nowadays, there are a lot of motivational speakers. They speak well, but they are famous because of audience. So audience is the important part of every speech or every presentation. Give the audience information in a way that is useful to them. So every speaker, every public speaker should try, not only try, but should give information to the public in a way that is useful to them. Because it is this audience which wants to hear you, which wants to get something from you. So every public speaker should convey his or her message in a way as the audience is expecting to receive the message in such a way. It's really not about you. This speech is not only about you. No doubt you are the source. No doubt you initiate this communication. No doubt you are conveying the message. But at the end of the day, it's all about audience. Because you are speaking to them. You are incomplete without audience. How good language you may be having. How good you are at pronunciation. How good you are at grammar. How good you are using idioms. How good you are at vocabulary. You are incomplete if you do not have listeners. You are incomplete if you do not have audience. So it's all about audience. So one should think about audience. Every public speaker must give give a particular space to the audience when he or she is preparing any public speech. Then you won't please everyone all the time, but think about who you are talking to and what sort of information they need. Obviously, you cannot amuse everybody all the time. You cannot please everybody all the time. But still, you need to take in your mind, who are you talking to? What is your audience? What is their level? What they want to speak to you? What are they expecting to listen from you? So one should know who you are talking to and what sort of information they need. This is very important. Right now, we're having the class on public speaking. The moment I announced that the topic for today's discussion is public speaking, everybody among you has made mind that we are going to speak on public speaking. Now, if I start speaking on some other topic, if I start speaking on grammar, if I start speaking on notice writing, on letter writing, so that will be a digression. Few among you may understand that right now, but majority of the people may not be interested to hear or to listen about letter writing or something else when the topic of discussion is public speaking. So this is important. What sort of information they need? What sort of information you need right now is the information related to public speaking, but not to letter writing. If we give other information rather than our topic, so that means we are inviting digressions. That means we are diverting the mind of our listeners, of our audiences. So that hampers, that bruises your speech. And this information, it may be fact, it may be any personal story, it may be an inspiration, or it may be a heartfelt thank you. So whatever it is, what sort of information it is, one should think about what sort of information the audience needs. So while looking upon these points, so one can take audience seriously. So in order to be a good public speaker, one has to focus on three basic elements: authority, then the second one is authenticity, and third one is audience. These three are the important points which every public speaker must know and must take in consideration before preparing a public speech and before going to deliver a public talk. What is the purpose? Let's now discuss about the purposes of effective public speaking. Why are we having these public speakings? What is the need to have public speaking? Why should a speaker go to the public and speak there? What is its purpose? See, public speaking is not only a fine art requiring special talents and aptitude. It's a skill which any normal, intelligent person can develop. This is very important to know that public speaking, it's not like an art which only the talented or the people who are having special aptitude can have. It's a normal skill which any normal person can acquire or can have. It's a normal skill. And what is the purpose of this effective public speaking? One is to convey a message. The first purpose is to convey a message. A speaker wants to convey a message to the public. So for this purpose, he comes to the public and conveys a message. This is the first purpose. Like you want to inform audience, you want to inform public about anything. Different people are going to public and conveying their messages through different platforms. Second, specify about points. Again, it's one and the same thing. Sometimes we want audience or we want people to be concentrated about certain points. For example, there is an important announcement. So that announcement can be done with the help of public speaking. Then develop public opinion. Another purpose of public speaking is to develop public opinion. You want to develop public opinion towards any topic or towards any issue. For that you need public speaking. So in order to develop public opinion or in order to share something in the public, so you need public speaking. Then persuade. Sometimes you have to persuade people because we are having persuasive talks, persuasive speech, persuasive dialogues, where we persuade people, where we are sometimes persuade. For example, you are going to market and you are launching any product. Now you are just you know you want to tell people to purchase your product. So what you are doing, you are going to people, you are talking about the benefits of your product, advantages of your product, good points of your product. So by this you are persuading them. You are changing their mindset. You are molding their mindset towards a particular product, towards a particular idea, towards a particular ideology. So this persuasion is another purpose of public speaking. We deliver public talks in order to persuade people. Impart knowledge and skills. Sometimes we want to impart knowledge. We want to share knowledge or some skills to the people, to the public. For that purpose, we require public speaking. Demonstrate technical skills. Sometimes we want to show public some technical skills. For example, a new product or a new laptop has come to the market, and very few people, trained people, they know about different features of that laptop or of any product. So they have those technical skills to operate that system, to operate any machine. So if you want to demonstrate, if you want to show those technical skills to the public, so you can take the help of public speaking. So one of the other purposes of public speaking is to demonstrate technical skills. There are a lot of purposes on which we are having these public speeches, but few among them are this, like to convey a message, to specify about some points, develop public opinion, to persuade people, to impart knowledge, to demonstrate technical skills, and to educate people. To educate people about any issue. You want to educate people about environment. You want to educate people about climate change. You want to educate people about the increasing pollution. So for that, you require public speaking. So different purposes are there. This is not the ultimate set. Different purposes are there. Now, principles of effective public speaking. Every trade, every activity, every process has some principles, has its own rules, some fundamentals, rules and regulations. Same is the case. This public speaking, effective public speaking, it has certain principles. Let's talk about those principles. These principles should be kept in mind for delivering a message, for public speaking. Every public speaker should keep these principles in his or her mind. One is, examine the true purpose of your message. The first principle is, examine the true purpose of your message. One should examine, one should check, one should analyze the true purpose of his or her message. What is the purpose of my message? If I want to go to public, if I want to speak to public, if I want to speak to a group of people, what is the purpose of that message? If I want to deliver a message, what is the purpose? First principle is this. Second is, clarify your ideas. Every public speaker must clarify his or her ideas. before delivering a speech. It's not like you are going to public and you start just beating the bush. You start just searching or borrowing some unnecessary material. So such things are happening when you have not clarified your ideas. So every public speaker before delivering a speech must clarify his or her ideas. Then consider the total physical and human environment. One should consider the total physical and human environment. It's not like you are going to speech and you feel every place is same for you. No. You go from one region to another, you move from one vicinity to another vicinity. The taste of the public is different. Environment is different. Physical environment, one has to check the physical environment. You may be delivering a speech in a very good auditorium where there are a lot of audio visual aids available to you. So you need not to shout. There you can have a collar mic and you will go with a comfortable speed, with a comfortable voice. But the same topic you have to deliver at any busy junction. You have to deliver a speech in the market, on a railway station, on airport. So physical environment has to be checked, has to be considered, has to be put in consideration, taken in consideration. And human environment also. As I told you, the taste changes, perception changes, mindset changes. So before delivering a speech, one should check the human environment and the physical environment. Then be mindful of basic content of your message. Every message or every speech is constructed on a certain idea or certain ideas. If there is a dialogue for 1 hour long, so this dialogue it may be around a particular topic, or there may be one or two issues which a speaker wants to address to the people. So every speaker needs to be mindful of basic content of the message. What is the basic content? What is the gist? What is the crux which a speaker wants to convey? A speaker must be mindful of that basic crux, of that basic message which he or she wants to convey to the public. Then be sure your actions support your communication. Non-verbal communication. Your body language speaks how confident you are, how comfortable you are with the topic. It's your body language that speaks everything. So now this body language, it should support what you are speaking. It should be favoring your arguments. So one should be very familiar, or one should be very vigilant when it comes to the actions. These body actions, they should support what we are communicating, what a speaker is communicating. Then seek not only to be understood, but to understand. Very, very important point. One of the most important points. That is, a public speaker should not strive to be understood. If I am a public speaker, I should not only think like, yeah, I should be understood, or like you should understand me. It's a two-way transport. Every speech is a two-way transport. A public speaker should not only strive to be understood, rather he should understand the people. Rather she should understand the people. A public speaker should understand the audience, because it is a two-way transport. If you are only thinking, or if you are only bothering that you should be understood by the audience, you may be neglecting, or you may be rejecting several demands of your audience, because you're not taking your audience seriously. You are taking your content seriously. Your content can make you understood to the public. But how can you understand the audience when you take them seriously? So every public speaker must not strive to be understood, but should also strive to understand the audience as well. This is one of the basic principles of public speaking. Next, fill your talk with illustrations and examples. It's better to go with contemporary examples. One should support one's arguments with examples, with illustrations. Visualize by demonstrating. One should visualize by demonstrating. Whatever you are speaking, use body language. Demonstrate your talk so that people can visualize you. For example, if you have to speak, I came from a far distance. You can speak like this: I came from a far distance, far. When you use your arm, you're not literally pointing to that point where from you came. But your arm has the power right now. Your audience can visualize, yes, it's far. It's the farther one. So a speaker has to visualize, has to demonstrate his speech. Then, and as every speaker must use concrete, familiar words that create a picture. It's better to use concrete, familiar words which can create some pictures in the minds of audience. That is a figurative use of language, where the audience can create pictures in the mind. Then, talk naturally. Come out from the shell of self-consciousness. One should talk naturally. You need not to be so self-conscious. Oh, if I speak this thing, if I take this example, my audience may think that he belongs to some inferior ideology or something else. No, one should talk naturally. Naturally means one should do justice with the topic. Whatever your topic demands from you, you should support. You should provide those arguments. You should spoke upon those statements. You need not to be so self-conscious that you are not speaking on a topic freely and openly. One should come out of the shell of that self-consciousness and be natural and do justice with the topic. This is another principle of public speaking. Then, we need not to try to imitate others. This is what I told you before. No need to imitate others. Be yourself. Be the best version of yourself. Converse with your audience and arouse their interest. This is one of the main points. Unfortunately, many people are not following this. A public speaker should talk, should converse with the audience. When we talk with the audience, we make them spellbound. We make them we make them spellbound, and we make them active, and we make them feel that this is an interesting topic. We arise their interest. We make our topic interesting when we communicate with the audience. In practice, make self-improvement and make your voice strong and flexible. When you are practicing, because we are going with the rehearse, we practice every speech. When we are practicing this public speech, we should make self-improvement. There should be an improvement. We should focus on our speech, what we are speaking. And when we are preparing once, twice, or thrice, so there must be an improvement, and we should inculcate that improvement in our speech. And we should make our voice strong. Strong doesn't mean we have to shout. Strong means the tone of speaking which has an effect in the mind of audience, which is at the same time pleasant to the audience, attractive for the audience, and flexible, which your audience would love and like to listen and hear. Then prepare yourself. We have to prepare ourselves. Topic preparation, dress, each and everything. And be confident. Confidence is the key of every speech. I can say confidence is the key to success. It's confidence which makes you successful. It's confidence which proves you different from others. It's confidence by which you can bring laurels for yourself. So one has to be confident. Now, let's talk about some basic skills which are required for effective public speaking. Basic skills. These are important. Communication skill, it's important. If we are poor at communication, we cannot be effective public speakers. Because at the end of the day, it's all about communication. You are going through the public speak. You are a good speaker. You are having a good content. You are having good examples, good facts, good illustrations. But if you are poor at communication, you can never be a good public speaker. Then interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills. Skills which are required for the people, for the public. Interpersonal skills. The skill which can make you very effective for the people. How can people understand you? You should have those interpersonal skills. Then, human relation skill. You should have that human relation skill by which you can gain the trust of your audience. Then, listening skill. A speaker must first be a listener, because it's rightly said by someone, it's better to be a good listener than the best speaker. So listening skill is required. One cannot be a good speaker if one is not a good listener. So listening skill is important, because when you listen to your audience, you listen their queries, you listen what they want you to speak. And when you know what they want you to speak, you can address their queries. You can satiate their thirst, their hunger of information. So listening skill is important. Organizational skill. You should have that organizational skill. How to organize your speech, how to organize your talk, your dialogue, and how to organize your audience. Organizational skill. Observation skill, much important skill. While delivering a talk, you have to observe. And it's evident. Every speaker can observe it from the audience, from their reactions, from the face, because face is the index of mind. It speaks different unspoken stories. So every speaker comes to know, every speaker observes the audience, whether they are understanding or not, whether he is up to the mark or not, whether a speaker or he or she is meeting the expectations of audience or not. So observation skill, one should have that observation skill. And interpersonal skill, I talked about it. Questioning skill, inquiring skill. One should have that questioning skill, because when a speaker questions the audience, he comes to know how much the audience is listening to him and what are the points audience have digested or achieved or received and understood well. So different advantages this questioning skill it provides you. Then we have responding skill. One should be good at responding. Answering skill, one and the same. Encouraging skill, one has to encourage people. Sometimes a speaker speaks to the audience where everybody is shy. They don't share the feedback. They don't talk to the speaker. Now the speaker must have that encouraging skill. The speaker must encourage people by different examples, by different illustrations, by different stories, so that he or she can get the feedback, so that a speaker can know what he is speaking and what he must speak to the audience. And summarizing skill. It's very important for every speaker, because it's better to summarize your talk at the end of the speech, so that when your audience they leave you, they can go with the basic main points which you have discussed in your long speech. Now let's move to the preparing points. These are the points which we need in order to prepare any public talk or public speaking. Number one is prepare your speech well in advance in clear and legible writing. One should prepare well in advance in clear and legible writing. The writing which a speaker understands well. The writing which can be understood by a speaker when he or she is speaking to the public. Then rehearse before your friends or in front of mirror. A speaker has to rehearse his or her speech, whether in front of his friends or in front of mirror. This is not ultimate that it is only applicable to the friends. You can rehearse in front of your parents, siblings, or other people who are closer to you. The only intention is a speaker knows how successful he is in the speech. What are the weaknesses there? What are the what are the strong points there? Dress up well to look dignified and presentable. It's important for a speaker. Content is important, and at the same time, dress is also important. One should be dressed in a in a dignified manner, so that one can look as a dignified and a presentable person. Your dress matters. People respect you when they see you are dressed in a formal way, in a formal manner, because it has its own implications. Then relax yourself when we are presenting. Relax when we are preparing presentation. It's better to relax and not to be nervous, because if we are preparing the slides, or we are preparing this public speaking with the nervous mood, we cannot deliver it better on the stage. Then control mannerism. One should control the mannerism. If one is having any mannerism, one should control that. One should restrict oneself from mannerism. Then hydrate yourself well and sip in between the speech if required. One should hydrate oneself. One should take more water. If you feel that you need to take water in between the speech, one should take. Then one should be humorous and energetic. It's better to be humorous, because you're talking to the people. You're talking to human beings. They love and every human being loves humorous nature. Every human being likes or cherishes to be a pleasurable person, to be happy in the life. So it is better to be humorous and at the same time energetic. Study great public speakers. When you are preparing your speech, it is better to study. Take examples, take some lessons from great speakers. And practice voice and breath control. One should also practice voice and breath control. Prepare key points or talking. One should prepare key points. In every speech, there are certain points which a speaker has to speak at any cost, which a speaker has to mention. There is no chance left without mentioning them. So one should prepare those points well in advance, because these are the key points of the speech. Then research your audience. Before delivering a speech, one should research the audience, know the audience, to which section, to which field the audience belongs, so that a speaker can construct or a speaker can architect his or her speech according to the expectations of the audience. Record your speech. It's better to record your speech, because when you watch or when you hear your speech, when you listen to your speech, you get to know about your strong points and weak points. Then the first and the last point is practice, 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 because practice makes a man perfect. So it's better to practice it more and more. So I would like to stop here today with the topic public speaking. I hope you all have understood it well. Goodbye. Take care.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.